All right, welcome back to Satisfactory. In the last episode, we were able to get this heavy modular frame factory up and running. So we're now making 4 heavy modular frames per minute until I take the summer sloops out, which I'll probably do once the containers here are full. So it'll be a little while before we get there. But we're gonna let that go ahead and run. We'll need these for our adaptive control units. And now that we have access to the heavy modular frames, we should be able to make our adaptive control units. So I went ahead and took the liberty of grabbing everything that we would need. So to make our 100 adaptive control units, we're going to need 200 computers. Let me grab another stack. So 200 computers. We're going to need 500 circuit boards. We're going to need 50 heavy modular frames. Sorry, 100 heavy modular frames. And finally, the automated wiring. It is a ratio of 5 to 1, it looks like. I'm just going to throw all of them in, just because that's not a resource that's obviously we need to save up particularly. But I think it needs 5 per, we would just need 500. So we'll get this connected to the power, and that will go ahead and start. It's 1 per minute, I believe. So these will be done a little bit before the adaptive control units are, or sorry, the modular engines. But we can pretty much there with everything, I would say. We're now just to the point where I'm sort of just waiting for phase 2 to end, which, if I keep everything the same, that will happen in about an hour and a half or so. Sorry, in about 2 hours or so. We need about 140 modular engines, it looks like. So 2.5 hours roughly. Probably by next episode, I would say we will get there, just depending on how today's build goes. Speaking of today's build, there is only one sort of resource and item type that we're not currently really working with, and that is quartz. Now, as far as the quartz items go, they're not super important at this stage. The silica you don't really use for anything too extensively, same with the quartz crystal. And most often you'll just be making them into your quartz crystal into crystal oscillators, which do get used in some of the later phases, but currently there's not really anything that we need to be using them for, which is why I've been a little bit been putting it on the back burner. There's not really any reason to make it. The only other thing that we could be technically making right now are our high speed connectors. These will probably be pretty important in the next phase. I don't really remember too much that requires them outside of just a few of them that are required in small builds. But we will probably end up making one of those in the next phase. But I think for today, we can work with a quartz factory. So I'm going to head over to the nearest quartz node. Right, so out here, I've been here once, maybe, I don't know, 10 episodes ago or so, where I just needed a little bit of quartz to make my my boots, and it was not capable of fighting off the charger that was over here. But now we are a little bit more capable, and we can utilize these nodes. So they are a normal node. I believe they're both normal nodes. Yeah. So it's going to be pretty basic. Obviously, we don't need these resources right this second, but it's good to get them going earlier than you need them. Obviously, having to kind of backtrack and make materials that you should technically already have access to can always throw your playthrough off a little bit. So obviously I want to avoid that best I can. So we can kind of do it one of two ways. I can take each miner, put them together, have them make the resources split between each other, but I think what I'll do is I'll just take each of them individually, have them feed in, and make one of each resource. So we're getting 120 raw quartz per minute. Each constructor is going to use 37.5 for 3 quartz crystals. So at 120 divided by 37.5, we can turn that into 3 1/5 constructors. Pretty simple. And I think what I'll do is just make it 3 constructors, then I'll lower one of them ever so slight, or lower the miner ever so slightly, just so you don't have to we don't have to build a 4th one. You can load balance this pretty easily, and like I said, we're not too much in a rush for quartz crystals, so I'm not too stressed. We're not making that much. Set all of these up, figure out what the number is once we get everything going. And for the other one, we'll do the same thing. This one will make our silica. Same thing, we're getting 120 per minute. A constructor will utilize 22.5 per minute. So 120 divided by 22.5 is 5.33 repeating. We'll do the same thing and just set it up with 3, I think. I'm not too worried about making a bunch of silica. This is all, like, silica is definitely a resource that you don't burn through too quickly at this point. If I need to add to it, obviously I always can. But just for the sake of making this easier, just do 3 constructors. All right, that is a fair bit of silica and quartz crystal being made. Much more than I think we need at the moment. Get all of this hooked up to the power in just a moment. I am considering making the crystal oscillators. Just requires a little bit of iron and a little bit of cables, so a little bit of copper. I know there's an iron node not too far from here, just on the other side of this mountain. And then I know that there is also a copper node not too far as well. Yeah, so they're right next to each other. Probably what we'll do is when that time comes around, that we start needing crystal oscillators pretty consistently, I will I'll take from this sort of resource area and turn these quartz crystals into the crystal oscillators. I don't really remember them being super necessary, even in the mid game. They're more of a late game item, I would say. But I have not seen any of the changes to anything yet beyond phase 3, so we will have to see if that is the case. Let's make a power tower, and it's only going to add another 54 megawatts to our consumption once we get this connected. So we'll run this back over to the base, and there we go. That's all hooked up now. That'll get running. I did forget to set one of the miners to the correct number. How much do I care? Not really. I'll go back and fix it another time. What I actually want to work on today, that was kind of just a mini distraction that I knew needed to get done before we hit phase 4, because I would get distracted. But if you look at our max consumption, it's only about half of our actual consumption, because most of our machines are turned off, or not turned off, but rather they're not working currently because everything is full at that factory. And I want to kind of prepare for the influx of phase 4. So even though we're technically only using between 3,000 and 4,000 of our current max consumption, our capacity is still only at about 5,500. I did remove the biomass generators from the power supply. I didn't want to keep running out and grabbing resources for them, so I just made a bunch of biomass and put them into a container. So that did lower it a tiny bit. But what I want to do is actually add more power to the system. In fact, I want to try to get to about 10,000 megawatts if possible this episode. So one thing we could be doing to make that happen, obviously, is adding more here to our fuel generators. They are currently pushing out about 2,000 megawatts apiece. We're doing pretty well on fuel, obviously, with the addition of this extra little bit. But that is not what I was hoping to do. What I actually want to do is make more power for this. So that's going to mean accessing some more oil. So I'm over here a little bit further to the southwest on the map. We've got a pure oil node along with 2 normal nodes, I believe. It won't show me the third one, but you know, it is what it is. So we'll start with the pure node, I think. But I think in the end, my plan is to utilize all 3 of these just for power. Obviously, that's a little committal at this point in the game because there is only so much of oil on the map. But I have found so far that oil is the easiest resource to sort of turn into power and other things. So for now, that's what I would like to do. Now, I don't think I have the Mark II pipelines yet, so I may have to run back to the hub and get those unlocked, assuming they're in this phase. I actually don't remember if they are or not, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, let's get all the oil extractors up. And I'm going to build it over this kind of pool of water over here. I think that has the most sort of flat space that you can access in this little area. So we'll set all of these up, and I'm going to build out my foundations out here.
Hello, world.
How nostalgic.
In the beginning, there were the words, and the words made the world.
I see you have been doing research. I must say you make for interesting conversation.
Conversation.
Singing together, communication.
Our two is only plug at the strings of the tapestry.
Are you saying this is only the beginning?
In the beginning, there were the words, and the words made the world. The words turned into song, open the windows. The song played with instruments, weave the tapestry. A tapestry of temples and shrines, bodies and bones. Orchestral harmony. Us. We. Ours.
Neato. Cool. So I don't know exactly how many refineries I'm going to need just yet, but I figure we can sort of preemptively set these up. We'll probably need even more than I've already built, but we'll see. So I think it'll be best if I run back and unlock the Mark II pipelines. So I'm going to run over and do that really quick.
Milestone reached. Pipelines and pipeline pumps can now be upgraded to Mark II. They are like Mark I, but better. Pipes seem to be objects of fascination to humans. In fact, there are recorded instances of humans doing nothing but thinking about pipes for hours.
Just like me, for real. Alright, we've got our Mark II pipelines now. I was also able to run back some power towers so we could bring the power over here quickly and get all of this started without having to do too much work. So I don't think obviously all of them need Mark II pipelines, but just for the sake of keeping everything simple. So this one's going to pump 120. That means this one will also pump 120, and that one will pump 240, which will put us at 480 total. We will connect this guy right here. And I'm going to try to get this connected to this without too much hassle, but we'll see what happens. It looks like not too bad. We'll get all of these hooked up to the power so they can start flowing and pumping our oil in for us. And the pipes can start filling up. Let's go down here and connect all of our pipes. So 240 total. We're going to just set these directly to fuel. That means they'll each use 60 per minute. That means we will need 8 refineries. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it looks like. So one more here on the end should do it for us. And we'll get this pipe hooked up. There we go. Obviously going into the refineries just needs to be a Mark I pipe. And we can, of course, add on to this later if we need to. We can pull away from it if we ever need to. But for right now, I'm doing my best not to use any of my power shards, just to keep everything sort of simple. All right, so with 8 refineries making 40 fuel per minute, that'll give us 240 fuel. That number doesn't seem right for some reason. I do my math correctly. 40 fuel per minute. 320 fuel per minute. That is slightly more. I don't know if that's... Still doesn't feel quite right with how much oil we're pumping in. But it is 6 generators. No, the generators are 20 apiece. I was thinking the generators were 50 apiece for some reason, but they're 20 each. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get these connected as well. I'll go right here, I suppose. This will start the fluid going in for us. And everything's going to start getting backed up, of course, because we're not emptying anything out. That is okay. Let's start with a... There we go, industrial fluid buffer. We'll put it over here to the side. And this will start filling up first. I like to always have a fluid buffer for anything that is coming out of a refinery or something. You know, if it's coming out of like a water extractor, you don't need it. You don't necessarily need a fluid buffer. Everything should be going at the correct rate, but you know, imagine your power shuts off and then your generators get backed up because you weren't pushing enough fuel into a different generator, or you just connected everything to the wrong generator, whatever it may be. This at least keeps these generators up and running, especially if the power goes out and you have a power, what are they called? Power switch. It'll at least keep everything up and running for you. So it's a junction here. I don't think these, I mean, technically they do need to be Mark II pipelines because they're pushing 320 a minute, so it's technically over, but I don't think that all of them needed, like I don't think this whole line needed to be Mark IIs. I probably could have made it work with Mark I's, but oh well. Now, for the generators, we'll start with just one line on this side, I think. See how that kind of lines up. Yeah, that looks good. And with 320 fuel, we can make 16 generators. We'll probably make, realistically, probably not going to make 16. We'll probably make 8 and put them on double speed. I think that will be a little bit better for us. Get all of our junctions down. Could even like triple power shard all of them. Running a little bit low on copper sheets, which was something I was kind of worried about. I went to go grab some, but we're utilizing all of them for the motor factory currently. So we'll do 4 generators here, grab another junction, put these generators to the backs of these ones. Yeah, we are short on copper sheets. I have a little bit of copper in my inventory. I don't think I'm going to have enough to make as much as I need. Okay, so I was able to make about 100 copper sheets. I've used half of that to make these generators. I'm just going to make 6 for now, and I'll throw a few power shards in. Or I'll throw 3 power shards into each one of them. That should balance everything out. For the time being, we're going to sink off the polymer resin, but that is not the long-term plan. I just want to keep these up and running while I finish this up. Okay, so that's going to get synced off just for the time being while I set the rest of this up. We'll get these all connected, and I'll set the power shards into them quickly. I'm actually going to let them run without the power shards for a little bit so the fuel can start backing up in the industrial fluid buffer. For now, let's go ahead and get set up with what we want to do with our polymer resin. So one of the reasons I wanted to use these oil spots specifically is because there's a big pool of water here, and we can take that and use that to use our polymer resin to make plastic and rubber. So this will essentially be a more consistent way for us to make these things. I had made those few factories previously to make sure that we had access to those things, but this was something I wanted to do more for a long-term solution for these things. So each refinery is pushing 30 polymer resin per minute. For each set of rubber or residual plastic, we'll need 60 polymer resin or 40 polymer resin respectively, along with some water, which we'll get to in just a second. So it just comes down to what do we think we're going to need more of. Obviously, rubber is important for the space elevator parts. Plastic, I think, is more utilized in your builds So having a good balance of the two is important. Do they make any different? We get 20 plastic or 20 rubber, so they make the same amount. We have a 60 times 8. So 480 polymer resin to work with. If I just split it down the middle and say half of it goes to plastic, half of it goes to rubber, not a terrible idea, but I think it'll be a little bit easier if I balance it a little bit differently. I think I want to make more plastic than I make rubber. Just because, like I said, rubber is a little bit more build heavy, whereas plastic's a little more build heavy, as rubber is more like part heavy, I would say. You use it more for building other things, where plastic you use it more for like building anything. So I think maybe like the sink that I made is kind of like right in the way of where I want to line up, I think. This for just a second. Put it here instead. Okay, so we'll build our refineries right about probably right about here, I think. And how many are we gonna need? So my plan is just to put them all in a line. I'm not too worried about making sure they are load balanced at all. It just comes down to, like, do I want to make a lot more plastic or a lot more rubber? I like the plastic idea just because it utilizes more of the polymer resin. So I could go like 3 refineries for the rubber. Or what's a good... So I use 40 each, which would be 120. I can use 4 of them for... I use 5. What would it be? I use 3 refineries for 4 of these refineries, and then the plastic is 1-to-1, I believe. I'm only making, I think I have my numbers mixed up here. I'm only making 30 polymer resin per minute, so 240. These aren't actually connected to the main source either. They're just running on their own, so I don't even think they're utilizing any of the fuel currently. I guess they're still working. They're just not technically powering anything. So that's going to give us 3750 capacity. I think in total this factory, it's a cost of about 1,000 or so. And it goes back to the main generators. 9,100, that's not too bad. Okay. Well, let's just start. We'll just start by matching it 1-to-1. Sorry, not 1-to-1, but so 2. So I'm gonna use 6 of them, I think, for plastic. That will take 3 refineries. And then I'll use the last 2 for the rubber. And then the only issue with that, so I'll need 80 polymer resin, and I'll only be pushing 60. I'm short 20 polymer resin to be able to do that. So maybe I should do 2 plastics. That would be 4 of these. And then rubber, I have 120. I can do 3. Okay. We have a plan now. I just need to go grab some copper really quick. Hopefully there's some nearby.
Freighter records indicate this comes from the past, which is normal.
Okay, thank you for that information. Okay, that took a little while longer than I was hoping for, but can now make the rest of these refineries. Should have enough copper sheets left over to make some water extractors as well. Okay, so we need 2 of them set to plastic, I think is what I said. That will be 120 of our 240. The other 3 will be set to rubber. That'll be another 120. So that'll be 240 total. I'm going to turn this merger so it's facing this way now. This can get deleted. And we will set up our lifts, set up our splitters. Just for the sake of everything. No idea where that belt just went. Just for the sake of everything moving as quickly as possible. So there is hopefully no backup. We'll set these up over here. Get our power turned on for these. Alright, and these guys are now up and running. They're just going to take in the polymer resin for right now. I still need to put the water extractors down so they can actually be functioning. So we're going to need 20, 40, 80, 120, 160 from our water extractor. I think one does 120 if I'm not mistaken. I don't really want to overclock it, so we'll just set it up like so. And simple enough, connect these like that. Connect that there. Get these guys connected to the power. They'll start pumping our water in, hopefully. I'll leave them at 120 for right now, just so they can overfill the pipes in the machines. But I will turn them down to the correct number in just a moment. Let's get all of these turned on. We don't hopefully run out of polymer resin. And we'll grab a merger here. Connect all three of these to a... I wish this pole wasn't like right here now, but oh well, we'll connect these to an industrial storage. Might even do 2 industrial storages. It is making 60 per minute, so this will fill up pretty quickly, but I'll get to that in a bit. One for the plastic. Not sure how much I care about these being backed up that much, but just in case. Wrong way. Alright, there we go. That should be more than enough storage for these. So that's an additional 60 rubber per minute and 40 plastic per minute, I believe. Along with a set of 6 generators, all at 625 megawatts of power each, going to... we'll set our power switch up right here. And connect this here. Going to remove the connections for these guys. I would like everything running Put a pole here, I guess. I like everything running through whatever the power switch is connected to. I suppose we can connect it to this. And that to that. And I'll just need to put the generators on as well. That can go to that. That should be good. Everything should be connected now. And we'll just need to flip the switch. Call that power plant 2. And very nice. Make sure there's only one connection to this. There is. So there shouldn't be any other things hitting power. We'll double check to make sure everything is turned on. Looks like we are. How is our pipe filling? Still need some more, it looks like, but I will turn these down in just a second, and I'm going to meet you back over at the hub. Oh, and I'm actually going to change this to a smart splitter. And we'll still have a sink here. Obviously, if all of this backs up, I don't want the power to go out because of that. So we'll put a smart splitter on this guy. The overflow will be going forward, and the right will be any. Connect those guys up. This might mean that some of our polymer resin gets kicked down into the sink, but that's not the end of the world. It'll only be 1 or 2, just if like 2 of them pass through at the same time. And the tier 1 belt can't keep up with that, but it shouldn't happen too often. Maybe 1 in every few hundred polymer resin will get pushed through that way, but I think it'll be okay. So I'll meet you back at the hub. I also just realized we're making 320 fuel per minute, but we're only going through 300 because the generators are 50 each, so we'll connect one more. That'll be the extra 20 that we'll need to make all of this work. So now we're at 94383. So we're basically at that 10,000 mark that I was hoping for before the end of the episode.
Time for a new melody.
Yes, actually, this might be a strange question, but it could give me invaluable insight. What, according to you, is the shape of our universe?
It is a donut within a void within a donut within a void within a donut within the shallows, which is a ball of string wrapped around itself to contain infinite deep within the inside-out string, with windows and doors and a limbless body subdividing to one resonance.
I should have waited with this question.
I am confusion. All right, back here at the hub, you can see we are just about done with the adaptive control units. The modular engines are just about done as well. They'll take another about 30 minutes or so to finish. I'm just going to double check and make sure I have enough resources for both of those. Looks like I do. Actually, we are out of something here. That must have been the circuit boards, I think. Yeah, it's only got to make 3 more, so technically it is good to go. So one last thing I just want to do before I end the episode is grab some copper from somewhere. And what I'm going to do is just utilize this to make some copper sheets that I can upload. I did have the copper sheet factory that I made a little while ago, but obviously those are going into making our motors now. And part of my intention was just to have those be backed up, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but as of right now, they're not. So we're pushing 60 per minute. I'll need 2 smelters for this. It's not going to be a massive project here. I just want to have something uploading or something that I can use to upload copper sheets to the dimensional depot, because those are going to be pretty versatile in the next phase, and I don't want to have a situation like today where I had to stand and mine that myself, just to have a few of them. So if I remember rightly, it is 20 to 10 for copper sheets. Yep. So we're making 60, so I'll just need 3 constructors here. We'll slap down a murder here. These in. A splitter in front of it. Should be more than enough space. And 3 constructors. Those to copper sheets. That'll be 30 copper sheets per minute. I think that's slower than we'll technically be able to upload, but obviously with a buffer in mind, should be fine. Set that there. Grab a industrial storage. Fine just using one of these. And finally, a dimensional depot. There we go. Now we just need to hook all of these in. And this will upload our copper sheets for us. Quick, easy, and simple. Whoops. It'd be cool if they added a function to like click a bunch of things that you want to connect power to. So if I just went like click, 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 and then hit a power pole, and you could connect the power pole to all of those things rather than having to do that separately. But I'm sure they'll have a lot of cool updates coming in time. I'm gonna flood this a little bit just to get it started. And yeah, so when the next episode starts, I'm gonna let the modular engines finish up before I actually start the episode fully. So that'll take about 30 minutes, so you can expect that. I won't be AFKing, I'm actually just gonna run around to double check that all the factories are working as intended, so they're all at least like 98% efficiency. If they're shutting off every once in a while, it's not the end of the world. But that's probably what I'll be doing for that 30 to 40 minutes. And then when the episode starts up, I'll have all of that done. We'll move over to phase 4, and we'll start building from there. So thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciated. And I will catch you in the next one.